are live for today's very quick, I said that last time actually, very quick severe weather overview. Right now, this is the Storm Prediction Center map. We're looking at a moderate risk. That is this red area, and that is mainly driven by tornadoes. It's a relatively high tornado risk. I'm going to move over to the tornado one, and you can see the red. That indicates, I believe, 15% probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a point. And then this diagonal striping is basically that diagonal does indicate a higher threat for tornadoes than what's shown. It shows more violent tornadoes possible. The Storm Prediction Center has said strong tornadoes are likely. And then this orange is driven both by hail and a tornado. Mainly north of I-80, that's going to be your hail. But actually everywhere it's hail. South of I-80, it is a tornado. That would be the main threat. Wind is a very low threat with this storm. And I want to go into the mesoscale discussion. That is what the Storm Prediction Center issues for plans to alert. Which is the discussion that basically tells you what their plan is. Over here, they say that's a bad color to choose. Red on red would not be good. Over here is where they're suggesting a tornado watch will actually be needed. So that's pretty much a 100% chance. They probably said 95 down here. Yes, they did. They always put in 95 instead of 100. That's just what they do. But it's very likely that they issue a tornado watch. In fact, it's definite that they will issue that. Looking over at National Weather Service Chicago, we are basically looking at that flood watch, which I did not talk about too much. Flash flooding caused by excessive rainfall. And then portions, actually, you can see where it is. Multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms, 1 to 2 inches per hour. Late this afternoon, which at the time it was issued, it was considered late this afternoon. To the early, actually late this evening. Storm-wise, it would be earlier this evening. The highest chance for flooding would be in the urban areas and other locations that receive heavy rainfall over the last few days, which would include pretty much the entire watch area. I don't know why they felt the need to put that in. And then it just means that flash flooding means rapid onset flooding is possible. That's why it's a flood watch, but it's not yet certain. Looking at this is, they actually provide their own briefing for this severe weather. Again, just like I said, south of I-80 tornadoes, some strong, large hail in excess of 2 inches for both areas. And then flooding, localized damaging wind gusts, north of I-80, tornadoes strong, damaging winds south of I-80, flooding there, but I don't think it'll be as bad. The exact northward extent of the tornado threat area will be determined by the inland progress of Lake Enhanced Front before it stalls by this evening. So for all we know, north of I-80 could see a tornado. I think it would be very hard based on what the model showed. But it depends on where that front ends up. This is, again, another Overview, most likely start time by 8 p.m. And the threat would end 1 a.m. Some of it south of I-80 could continue through the night. That's why this is considered a historic outbreak, because this area has very rarely seen or ever seen that moderate risk driven by tornadoes, and it has not been seen in definitely several years. We have seen in the past moderate in this area for wind. There were 2 derechos that moved through that. Those are like really long wind events. Near and south of the dash line again, tornadoes, damaging hail, damaging winds, localized flash flooding. North of the dash line again, damaging hail greater than or equal to 2 inches in diameter, which does mean that we would see bigger hail, especially in that 3 out of 5 orange shaded area, which includes Chicago and much of its northern suburbs. Damaging winds greater than 60 miles per hour are possible, and localized flash flooding. I did go over this flood watch ending at around 3 a.m. I think they're going to keep that watch a little longer. And just remember, if you join me Friday night, which is not exactly the same risk area, but some of it, you can, of course, ask questions. I can see the chat. You can share this. I encourage you to share it to send out those updates, because this is a potentially historic outbreak, as I've said. Urban flooding threats, that would be for Chicago. Overlap of torrential rainfall rates in the urban areas may lead to flooding this evening, most likely will lead to flooding. What to do: avoid flooded roads and paths, as they've said before. Turn around, don't drown. I mean, that's for everything. And this entire briefing is more dedicated for that southern, more tornado risk area. Move valuables away from flood-prone basements, areas such as basements, outdoor areas with poor drainage. Know your alternate routes if you are on the roads, and just know where to go if you need to move to higher ground. That would probably be a second floor of a house, or just a second floor of anywhere, really. 6 ways to receive warnings. I actually made my own version. It's back here. But it's NOAA weather radio, wireless emergency alerts in your weather apps, the internet, like weather.gov. That is the National Weather Service's direct website. Local TV and radio, outdoor sirens, which you're actually only supposed to hear outside. And from your friends, family, and coworkers, I replaced with social media, because I think that would probably be a much better example now. In order to know where to go when sheltering from a tornado, if you have no basement, interior room with no windows, preferably no exterior walls, but bathrooms are decent. Quickly move to your basement, bring your emergency supply kit. Don't go to top floor rooms. They will not protect you in any way. If anything, they'll kill you. Exterior rooms and doors with windows don't protect you, but if it's your only option, that would still be better than nothing, but it's definitely not a very good option. And no place outside is safe. Looking at our HRRR, this is a great model. I've used it a ton. We look at, actually this is very outdated. I wanted to pull up the latest. There we go. You can see, you're going to watch, I want you and everybody to specifically watch this area for storms that will explosively develop. You can see they develop explosively. The earlier model showed a lot more explosive development. But looking at Chicago before its threat, because I do want to overview that, even though it's a hail threat, not too significant. Actually, significant hail, but not as bad as other events. I don't like how this is still here. The SHIP, Significant Hail Index, 2.3. That is insanely high, and that supercell number of 11.0 is again also very high. Hail comes from supercells. And if you're wondering, why are we getting severe weather? It's like 40-something degrees out. It's like 60 degrees, 5,000 feet up. So that's where the storms are going to stay further up in the atmosphere than down. There is definitely a chance. You can see this MU number. That means most unstable, or what's most unstable at the highest level. 2000, and that's CAPE, convective available potential energy. It's the available energy for convection or thunderstorms. The downdraft CAPE, DCAPE, again, it's like CAPE, but now it supports downdrafts, which are what tornadoes need. That's 811. It's not bad, but look at this SRH. That is storm relative helicity. That's how capable is the atmosphere to create supercells, which are rotating storms. 750 is insanely high, and if we had that surface-based storm, we would have 100% seen some very dangerous tornadoes. But we're not. I still think based on these numbers, there's a chance for a tornado. It's very low, and the storms would really have to work hard to get there. But there is definitely a chance for a tornado. And then I do want to look here in this area. This is a populated area that I cover. It is near Princeton. And this is, it says severe, says significant hail, supercell. They're under that severe weather risk too. Actually, I think they're south. They're here. I pushed on the wrong area. Severe, 2 loose matches, 100% tornado. That's significant. Supercell numbers are good. I think it's mostly, it's a high shear, low CAPE environment. It's still high CAPE. But these areas, the model isn't projecting quite as much as we think will get hit. And then I do want to focus here in this area. Not too sure where exactly that is. But that is another, I think it's like around Kankakee. Again, they've got significant tornado threats. You can see it's again hail. The entire area's threat has a hail threat. That's good curvature up here, which basically just shows supercell threat. So it's good for severe weather, which is why we think that there will be these significant storms. And then they should completely move out the initial storms around midnight, but then a few others might form before bringing in rain and snow. And you can see that snow right here in that area. I did also want to go to a different model. I go to 2. And I actually meant to put this into composite mode. This will definitely show you explosive development. Here's 5 p.m. I'm going to hover over, look at the sounding for this to show just how explosive. 3,409. That's very rare for this time. It's very dangerous for this time. SRH isn't insane, but we're betting off the CAPE. It's going to do most of the work. There you go. The storms suddenly explode. There's a tornado threat. And they continue to explode. Here's 7 p.m.'s Chicago, because the storms will hit around 8 p.m., so they're developing. Then you can see the high, very high storm relative helicity, the need to rotate. You can see the slightly lower than HRRR expected, but still very high, most unstable instability, which is needed for this hail. Lapse rates, I never talked about lapse rates. Lapse rates are basically just how much the temperature changes as you go up, as you go down. These are pretty good for hail. Supercell number, again, high. SHIP, significant hail index, also very high. And this is Chicago, looking south again, because I want to focus on multiple areas. It says there's no threat, probably because this earlier storm took it. So you can expect severe marginal tornado, maybe a little bit stronger than what this model is saying. But you can expect these storms arriving anywhere between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m., continuing through midnight, and then some more could form as a result. The total quantitative precipitation forecast, that's just how much rain. This model projects, and this expires Friday, but I think it's good to see the overall. Most of this is coming from today. Again, down south, floods. Up north, floods. The HRRR model, circling back on it. And I do want the most recent. It will take out a few hours. Over here, almost an inch of rain. Down here, almost 3 inches. So definitely a large threat. And again, you can always ask me questions through the chat. I'm always looking at it. Then I do want to check back in, see if they have issued a tornado watch. I have a radio. It's supposed to tell me. But I always like to make sure, double check. There is a watch. Let's pull that up. Here it is. They actually did exclude Cook County from it, so I think they might actually put Cook County under a severe thunderstorm watch. Shockingly, this is not a particularly dangerous situation. Tornado watch, I actually would have thought they'd do that because there's a high threat for tornadoes, high threat for dangerous tornadoes, high threat for destructive hail. So I really would have thought, and there's severe thunderstorm warnings now in this area. I will show you those in a minute. Storms are already firing a little earlier than expected. Except that I don't see any warnings that are actually popping up. Actually, I do, down here. And down there. On those southernmost storms. And you can see this storm right here. That one's already forming a lot of hail. Could you look at the Pontiac storm? Yes, I always forget where that area is. I always forget where I know it's somewhere here. I think it was over here. It's in Sterling. I always forget where cities specifically are. Was it this? Oh, yes, it was this one. Ping Pong. Oh. You can see this is vertically integrated liquid. That is a very very abnormal thing to show up. When it's completely white like that, that usually means large hail. The correlation coefficient, which also can tell you hail, is showing that hail. It's moving north. You can see this is another one that's already popped off. So storms are already forming earlier. And it's formed within the last hour. And it is potentially rotating a little bit. It might be tapping into that energy. Definitely large hail there. I don't know why they haven't put out a severe thunderstorm warning just yet. And if you actually notice, there's a little black bar underneath mine. That's actually it's intended to display alerts. I don't think it's doing that great, though, at displaying the alerts. So that's the Pontiac storm down here. It has not yet reached significant threat. I think it will end up 1.5 inch hail, 60 mile per hour gusts, tornado watch. So eventually that storm will move up. It could also strike a little, might end up turning, but these storms are already firing. And going back to our tornado watch, I forgot it just highlights the counties under that threat, which is a little, I don't like it. I still think there's going to be a severe thunderstorm watch up north for Cook County. There's a large threat. I think that is all. I will open this up to questions for the last few minutes. So ask anything about this storm, anything at all. This is slightly behind. It lags a bit. So when I eventually see it, I'll respond in like a couple seconds. Yes, it will rain. Definitely will. I can actually map out where I think they should put out that severe thunderstorm watch since I'm here. Oh, they do split it up. Oh, they don't split it up for those. I would probably put the severe thunderstorm watch, since these are all under a tornado watch, I would most likely put that watch along this line for sure, but potentially shrink it down to that green area. I would probably shrink it down to that green area in terms of the severe thunderstorm watch. I can actually quickly, while I'm thinking about it, I can get estimates on when the storms will arrive based on what storm is currently here. They did just issue a severe thunderstorm. Areas hit the hardest would probably be south of Interstate 80 because they're at risk for the hail, prepared instead of scared. Definitely though, because this is they've recently redone everything to be now conditional intensity. So the tornado area is generally under, I saw it glitched. So I wouldn't be necessarily worried, but they introduced conditional intensity groups. So the tornado area is under CIG 2, which does mean stronger tornadoes. I mean, several tornadoes are likely, a few of which could be strong, EF3+, which is not good. But it's definitely better to be prepared over scared. This recent severe thunderstorm warning that just went out. You can't hear me. Can't hear me. Let me see. Testing. Okay, let's see. Can it be heard now? One, two. Okay, testing. Testing. Oh, good, okay. I can hear it coming through now. So as I was saying before, it is definitely better to be prepared rather than scared. All right? Yeah, you should be able to hear me now. All right. Severe in Oklahoma, north of Kansas. Tornadoes. Yeah, there is also severe weather in Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma. They're definitely at risk. Unfortunately, I don't cover them. I try to cover this smaller area, but half dollar sized hail is this. Not really wind gusts. I don't see a tornado forming out of this. But I will quickly go over, get a prediction on what time this storm will arrive. So it's going in this direction. Now this actually auto-detects speeds. I'm going to redo it. This auto-detects speeds, so it ends up telling me what the speed is so that I don't have to get it wrong. Central Illinois, there is a tornado watch out for you. It's not PDS. They are warning for high likelihood of tornadoes, some of which could be strong. I don't know why this keeps. But yeah, it doesn't guarantee a tornado, but it definitely means that there's a higher risk for such. This is the time of the storm. This storm could actually end up, what was I going to say? Could end up slowing down and falling. But it'll hit Lisbon in about 10 minutes, Oswego 30, Romeoville in 42. I skipped Plainfield because close to Oswego. Woodridge in 51. I don't think it's gonna, I don't know what their plan is for that. And then with that, I never pronounce it. Pontiac storm. I zoomed in too much. That one's going to move here at 33 miles per hour, so it slows down significantly. Oh, thank you for subscribing. But I think this is it for the stream because I'm not going to do coverage. But if there are no questions, which I can take questions, I'll wait like a minute or so to get a few questions in. And then if not, I will end the stream here. Technically, no. I'm not degreed. But I do have it. I do have a summer severe weather certification and then a storm spotter one. So sunny skies. I mean, technically, some of these areas could see sunny skies, possibly just north of Princeton. And then yeah, so possibly, actually, I know that was a joke, but some areas will see it. I'm gonna get okay, and then if there are no more questions, I will end it because there is not much else. Possible tornado in... Yeah, let's see. Which National Weather Service office issues this? Both are the National Weather Service in Chicago. Yes, it does look like there is a little bit of rotation. Not necessarily. When will there be snow? Possibly snowing tomorrow. There is a chance for that. But yeah, it does look like there is a... That Pontiac storm does look like it could end up spinning something up. It is in that risk area. But yeah, there's definitely not enough rotation yet for the National Weather Service. How much snow? It should not be a lot. When I checked earlier, it was like 0.2 inches, but it shouldn't stick. But if there are no more questions, I'm going to quickly summarize it. South of I-80, you've got a tornado watch. Tornadoes, some of which could be strong. Flooding, destructive hail possible. North of I-80, you would also see those destructive hail, maybe some damaging winds. They recommend you go in the basement for that. Still a massive lowering, yeah. Yeah, and actually quickly, looking at it, that little area, that's a hook echo. That might end up doing something, because that usually indicates rotation. So we'll see what that does. But again, north of I-80, what time is snow expected? It was supposed to be sometime in the... Oh, they did actually, while I'm here, they put out a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, 2-inch hail, warning for a possible tornado. So that storm near Pontiac has just ended up leading the National Weather Service to put that out. And it does look like if it continues like this, because that is a good starting hook, it looks like it will continue to spin up, and it will go... It says it's going toward Gary. It probably won't hit Gary, though. But then I'll end it in just a few minutes. They do recommend you go in the basement if there's that destructive hail. They sometimes sound tornado sirens, not always. But they do usually send out an alert to your phone. The reason they say that you should go in your basement is because hail that size could break through roofs and other things. So they want you to put as many floors between you and the storm as possible. It's a little different than... You should treat it like a tornado, but it's a little different than one where a tornado is pretty much just you should put as many walls and floors. This one, you should stay away from glass and put as many walls between you as possible, or floors as possible. Walls, not as much for that. Just a sprinkle. Yes. So I think I will end it here since it doesn't look like there are anything else. I will quickly check Davenport's radar. But they're showing nothing. These two storms are... Oh. I did something wrong there. I will quickly check Davenport's area. Nothing too much there. So I will end it off here. Just remember there is a significant risk for hail in all places. Dangerous tornadoes south of I-80. You know, oh, that Pontiac storm did just put down a tornado. Right here, it's a base tornado warning. But I'm not currently doing coverage for that. So just, if you are in Pontiac, stay prepared. But I think I will end it off here. And I think that's it. Just remember, take shelter. If there's, even if it's, just treat every warning like a tornado warning, as long as it sends out like one. And that is all.